from Empanada Fork, Hipatia Lopez. Hipatia, welcome to Rays Latino Talk Podcast.
Hi, Ray. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing fantastic. And Hipatia, there's so many reasons I wanted to have you on the show. One of which is that you're a supporter of Rays Latino Talk Podcast. I want to give you your love for that. You're always engaging us in social media about the many topics that we discuss around personal development, leadership, and supporting each other in this journey. But you have an incredible story. And so I wanted to make sure that people, as a Latina, as a mother, and now as a businesswoman, has an incredible story that definitely resonate culturally with our community. So Hipatia Lopez from Empanada Fork, where did this journey begin for you?
My journey began during the holiday seasons. It was simply around the dinner table, making the holiday menu, and while we were making the empanadas, which we do for every party because of their appetizers. It's like a must-have in my Latino home anyway. And I was just complaining to my husband, honestly, telling him how, this is taking forever, I have to do 100, and just laughing along the way. And honestly, I just came up with this idea, and I didn't believe that it could have been something until when you have an idea and you can't get it out of your mind, you go to sleep with it, you wake up with it. That's what was happening to me. So it was driving me crazy. So then I just started to basically just envisioning it. I started drawing. I started doing whatever I think I could do. And, and then just kept it to myself for a few days until I started to share it with my family members, my husband and stuff. And he was like, he's like, I know you. He's like, when you start something, you're going to try to finish it. And I'm like, I know, but is it crazy? And he's like, no. He's like, I said, go for it. Just try. I mean, what's the worst case to know? I say no. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So that's where it started. It was a little bit of just a crazy idea that I thought I wasn't going to do anything with at first. But then I said, why not? Let me try something. And it's been a crazy journey learning. Oh my goodness, I love to learn though. I'm like a nerd by heart. So that's how it started.
So Hipatia, I want to take a step back because I want to make sure people understand kind of what you've done here. We're gonna break it down into a few segments here because I want to walk people through this journey. So you literally were making empanadas during the holidays a few years ago, and you identified a problem, which is the very tedious manner in which you make essentially the edges of the empanada, right? So like typically we do it with a fork, right?
Right, to close them, correct. And
so you went from that cultural headache, right, in terms of making the empanada look pretty, and I want to make people understand you essentially invented a kitchen utensil or a kitchen tool?
Yes, I invented a kitchen utensil and I got it patented. And,
So
it's very exciting, yes.
This is unbelievable, and I know a lot of people on social media who connect with Hipatia. You definitely are known to the Latino social media world as the woman behind Empanada Fork, but for those that are new to this, unbelievable. So let's walk through this a little bit, Hipatia. So you're not like a culinary chef or anything. You're literally having a family event, and you have this vision. What gave you the strength to take the first step? Because to go from where you started to where you finished, actually having a product that you market, seems like a long journey to me, and I would imagine for many people listening. So what was your first step in this journey once you had this idea and this dream in your mind?
Once I decided I think I wanted to try to do it, I started to do the research regarding lawyers. I did not know they were actually lawyers called patent lawyers. So at first I called a regular lawyer, then he just told me how it worked. So that's where it started. I contacted a lawyer, I met with 3. I always go with my gut feeling. I don't go with the highest or lowest money-wise, but I just go with my gut feeling. And I told him, and he seemed, pretty excited like me, and he was realistic, which was great, because it was kind of like a slap in my face, because he said, even though you're going to try to go through it, that after a year, if it doesn't patent, which that's how long you have to wait, you might be very disappointed. But it's your choice, and I'm like, oh my gosh, should I go through with it? But then that's what I said, in a year, I have all that time to just make up a plan. And that's what I did. So it was extremely hard not to discuss this with anybody, because you do have to keep it a secret, sort of, so nobody can, fake it or accidentally. You never know us. I told my family, we discuss many things over coffee. And it could be an accidental, so-and-so told, and then boom, somebody else is going to come up with it. But it's a great experience so far that that I actually made it to. I had to learn. It's like I had to do a prototype. It was just crazy. Once the big journey for me was once the patent got approved, because that to me was so difficult. Because I'm like, okay, what do I do with this patent now? And that's when I started to call the manufacturing. I even started calling some businesses, and I said, I'm a mother of 3. I don't even cook. My husband's a cook, but I'm the helper in the kitchen. I do everything else but that. And so they're just like, really? And you invent? I'm like, yeah, because he'd never like to close them. I had to close 100 or over 100, and just be like, oh, I love empanadas, and I love his empanadas, but I wish I could close these faster.
And we'll have links to your YouTube videos and your web properties so people can see the Empanada Fork in action. I was looking at it last night because we connect online on occasion, but I hadn't had a chance to really see what the fork looked like, and it was so fascinating. But at the same time, it seems very simple. It's almost like, how come no one ever thought about this before? But it's really well designed, and it obviously does the job. Hipatia, so let's take a step back, because I don't want to assume people understand even what a patent is. So essentially, you had this idea for a tool or a cooking utensil, but you wanted to produce it and basically own your idea. And so a patent basically gives you the legal how would you say, the legal authority or the rights to that concept. Regardless, even if you make it or someone else eventually makes it, it's your patent. So we know this, we normally associate this concept with high-end inventions, people that invent things for aerospace engineering or
that's true.
Those kinds of things. But even something as relatively simple as a cooking utensil, as long as nobody has confirmed the patent for it yet, you can develop that. Why? So why was that part important? And then share with people, because you had to learn this, right? So what did that journey, in terms of getting your patent, which most people would just be amazed that you can even do something like that. What did that journey teach you that you'd like to share with our Rays Latino Talk Podcast listeners?
Well, the journey of the whole trying to get the patent and learning about the patent and that it protects you for a certain amount of years was just so mind-boggling to me. And I just had so many questions for many lawyers, and they were very willingly able to give me the information and saying, like, you can do it. You can really do it. I've done research on my own besides contacting the lawyer, and I Googled everything you could think of that I could call it, or that I think people might have called it, or so I would say once the patent process, because he told me basically you have to put your design on paper. So then I told him I don't draw, and we just giggled. He said, "Don't worry." He goes, he had at the time an architect in the family. So like everybody who's been put in my direction, I think it's like a blessing from God, honestly, because they've been willing to assist me and help me. And this is why, when people call me all the time, I give them any information that I can do that I have learned, because I think it's important to give back. And I've been there to not know, and you want to just continue and succeed, and you get frustrated by just not knowing. Forget about the no's, the rejections that do come along the way, but that just makes you stronger. That's how I see it. So the patent to me is important because I want it to be protected for whatever years that it allowed. This one is 14 years. I got a design patent, and there's different types of patents that I also had to learn. I also had to make a decision on which way I wanted to go. So it's a long process, and it's worth it, though. It's worth it in the end, especially when you just go to sleep happy saying, what if I, there's so many what ifs, what if I did this, what if I did that? So finally I'm like, I'm going to do it. That's it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm okay with it.
And then you had to, so you got your patent. How long did it take to get the patent from the start to finish of that process?
A year.
A year? Okay. Okay. So a year. And then you had to get it manufactured. So share with us a couple lessons from that process. That's a whole other different scenario, right?
Animal, yeah. And then I decided to do, okay, I got the patent. I need to do a prototype, which I learned all these fancy words because to me, prototype, I didn't even know what that was. I need to do a sample. And I went and I called a few manufacturing plants through Google. I just did plastic, I did metal. I didn't know. I don't know which ones to choose or which one would even talk to me. So then I realized a lot would not talk to me, actually, because I wanted them to sign non-disclosure agreements, and I kind of followed whatever my lawyer suggested. I did.
Absolutely.
So, and then there's a few that will not sign papers that are legal, and so I got a lot of, just encouragement, I guess you could say, in the beginning. But when I got the one or two, I did find a plastic manufacturer in Hackensack, New Jersey. Met with him, and he loved the idea. So he did that. I did my first prototype in plastic, a really hard plastic. When we got it, unfortunately, the plastic failed. The teeth bent in. It was not too strong enough for the dough, which, again, hurt a little bit, my heart. But then he suggested, let's go stainless steel. This is definitely going to work, but you need to go with the strong metal, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, let's do it.
Sure. Yeah.
And through him, once again, he helped me get manufacturers in China because they have non-disclosure agreements with companies. And this is when now I'm in the process of now turning into a company because I have to do that in order to business. I can't be doing business with as an individual. So that's another story, too, that I have to become a company and to learn all that, which, accounting is my background. So thank God in that area. I'm like, okay, now I want to be an LLC. But once I did the manufacturing and I got it and it finally passed the test, and there's a whole bunch of testing that has to be done to even be accepted to any stores, with the lead and all that stuff. That also I learned. Then I finally said, okay, I did it. Even if it, now I just have to try to see who will be able to take a chance with me because there's a lot of people. When I mean people, I mean companies that, I'm too small, so I know they think I can't produce, but I've been fortunate where I'd enter those inventor contests, or you have to think of outside the box of how else you can possibly get into a big name store, and that's what I just started doing. I started going to a lot of events, and I think I'm getting off topic here, but that's what's helping. Go to network events, you meet other business people, and you just learn. And I love to be around that energy. I get so a natural high from it, and I'm just like, oh my God, I learned 5 things today, and it's so worth it. And that's how I apply it to my company. So that's a great journey so far.
And that was going to be my next question. So now, and we're talking to Hipatia Lopez, the woman behind Empanada Fork, and I know many, again, our folks in social media are familiar with Hipatia, is someone that's engaged in our Latino business and social media community, and who just came up with a great idea that's creative, that's culturally resonates for sure, and it's something that we're so happy for her and her family, and this is such an inspiring story. So Hipatia, where do you so I'm imagining you sell this thing at this point. So where do you distribute it, and do you have any thoughts about or any words of advice for people around the distribution portion of this and the business portion of this journey now that you're at this stage?
Well, right now, I'm selling it mostly online.
Okay.
So through a few like QVC.com, uncommongoods.com, MexGrocer.com, which is an online Mexican supermarket, and I have 1 or 2 stores in New York, LeBron, and a baking, bakery.com. I realize now that I want to do supermarkets. I would love to sell the product along the frozen dough section. So I just started contacting distributors and actually have a meeting today and then next week and see how that process is going to work. Because I've tried to contact the supermarkets myself, and I laugh because I'm okay with people saying no to me now. In the beginning, it was a little bit difficult to accept no, that we're not interested. But then I realized there are other ways to get into supermarkets. I should have just tried that from the beginning. And even the big box stores, you can go in as a local vendor as opposed to a national vendor. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, all this. I should have approached it a different way, but I'm learning. So I don't know. I take everything as I learn, and I say, okay, give me a month. I'm going to go back to them.
That's right. So
it's not a no. It's like a no right now, but I'm coming back. Don't you wait.
That's right. And, well, there's so much to it, Hipatia, but I definitely want to review for folks. This is a woman that wasn't even like a professional chef. I mean, not even the head chef in the family, kind of the sous chef. And you had an idea, and there's so many lessons here. And that's why I wanted to have you on Rays Latino Talk Podcast, because Hipatia, you're really the embodiment of the vision that I have for our audience, because we talk about here, and I'm so passionate about people listening to their heart and following their dreams. I believe, and regardless of different people's, their own faith perspective, but I believe God's not teasing us with these dreams. God doesn't do that to make us feel bad. We're being told something, and you followed your heart. You followed what you were being called to do. And you didn't get intimidated by and I'm sure you went through your frustrations, but you didn't get intimidated by the process. You understood that it would take time, that you'd have to learn as you went. You were going to have failures. You're still not where you want to be, right? But ultimately, it's so well worth it, because the alternative, us not living who we are 100% of our life, is not where we need to be. And unfortunately, too many people live that way. They quite honestly, especially when you're much younger than me, but when you get a certain stage of your life, you have a family, and you're doing okay. You're an accountant. I'm sure you're doing quite fine, you and your family, and I'm certainly okay. But you got to listen, and there's so much more out there for us. And I know that there's so much about your journey that resonates with our listeners, Hipatia. And what kind of I would imagine, what kind of feedback have you gotten from people? Because on some level, I'm sure to friends and family, it might have sounded a little crazy. The fact that you wanted to invent a tool, a kitchen utensil, and that, especially something that didn't exist, right? Right. And so talk to people about maybe people that are a few steps behind where you were at in this journey and are still kind of dealing with haters, dealing with people that are skeptical, but ultimately people that, people around you that are well-intentioned but haven't opened up their heart to give themselves permission to live out their dreams.
The main lesson that I have learned, and I totally believe it, and I even tell my children all the time, I have 3, besides following your dreams, you have to believe it. You. If you don't believe in something, in whatever it is that you want or you want to pursue, it's not going to happen, because then you lack that motivation, that drive, that it's like, okay, somebody knocked me down, let me get back up. And I tell them, take it day by day. Okay, don't give yourself 3 months, 6 months, day by day. If whatever you wanted to accomplish today did not happen, then you go to bed. Tomorrow's a new day. You start again. And I really believe that's important, because, like you said, the obstacles made me stronger. I've always been a really strong person, but it does hurt. So I know, people who do give up, and the people who have contacted me and they're like, oh my God, that's so great, you followed through, I wish I blah blah blah. And that's the what ifs. And I said, yeah, I know. I said, I used to do that. I'm like, you have to stop. Just stop. I said, if you really want to do it, I said, you have one life, just really try. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That only means that God chose a different path. Like my mom always says, when one door closes, it's for a good reason. Don't worry about it. Don't stress about it, because in life, to succeed, what does that really mean to you? And I said, to me, I want to be happy for the rest of my life. That's what I want, in everything and anything that I do. So I just think, just keep pushing. And the people, I have positive feedback. I have a whole avenue of, like you said, social media. I got involved because somebody suggested, get a Twitter handle, get a Empanada Fork. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm naturally a social person. I was like, okay, let me do this. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so much fun. I connect with chefs. I connect with people who I'm like, I never thought I could even connect with. But social media is so strong, so powerful, that I encourage everybody. It's free, do it. If you have a company, there's no reason for you not to do this. It's important to and reciprocate, because I had to learn the whole social media, and I realized what everything it means now. You have to, don't stop always talk about yourself. You have to give prompts or encouragement to other people who are coming out with a new blog or coming out with a new product, a new anything that they believe in. I believe in them too, because I was there when I didn't believe for 100%. It took me that extra maybe month, and then finally I'm like, that's it, I'm doing it and I'm going for it. And bloggers, oh my gosh, they're willing to take my product, they're willing to review it, and it's just great, because I'm like, I get scared. I'm like, oh my God, what are they going to say? And when I get the feedback, I'm blown away. Oh, I actually used it also for mango, for the bananas, or this. I'm just like, oh my God, you gave me like 3 good ideas right now. Thank you. And it's just great. I love people who give me feedbacks, who send pictures. I'm a picture person too, so I just encourage, just stay with it, don't give up, and definitely surround yourself with those same type of goals and people if you want it that badly, because sometimes it takes that one person to just say something and it's just like, ruined your whole day, and it's like, why allow that? I don't allow that energy anymore.
I try to, and you're listening to Hipatia Lopez from the Empanada Fork. So blessed to have her in the building here at Rays Latino Talk Podcast, which you can hear at rayspodcast.com, as well as Rays Podcast on iTunes. And if you have one of those fancy Samsung or Galaxy phones or Android phones and you're wondering, well, how do I listen to Rays Podcast? And I don't have an iPhone. You can check out the Stitcher app, and we've got to give love to Stitcher, which is basically the largest podcast app on the Android side. So you can definitely subscribe to us there, give us a review, and let us know what you think, and certainly catch us on social media. We're social here on Twitter at Rays Podcast. And Hipatia is really schooling us here. And, Hipatia, one of the things I've observed, and you're part of this, is that social media is such a great outlet for us, because not only is it good for marketing our services and our products and our projects, but I think people want to have a yearning to collaborate with like-minded people. And, quite honestly, sometimes you just kind of, and, before this modern technological era, you kind of just got stuck with who you were with, and so regardless of maybe if they had, similar interests, or maybe you're at a job that you don't work with a lot of people, or you don't vibe with them, or what have you, circumstances. But this gives you an opportunity to sort of hone in on the kind of people that you want to associate with. And so I find that, and we talk about this in other conversations around, Latinos kind of hate on each other, and there's not enough positivity and crab in a bucket, and, all these phrases and kind of old paradigms. But I find that in social media across the board, people are generally very cooperative, want to help each other, because they're looking for that kind of family or that kind of network. And so it's interesting how you're very well known in some of the social media space, but you're not necessarily like a lifestyle blogger, or, you connect with a lot of people that aren't inventors. So for folks that maybe have a lot of different interests and are trying to figure out how their interest around gardening, or an off the beat hobby kind of can you can engage with people on social media, and you're not a blogger or a journalist, give people a word of advice on how to network and connect with people in social media, regardless of what your interest is.
Yes, I believe the blogger world, that's what I call it, is incredible. There's a blogger for any type of anything, sports, products, reviews, and if you ask, like I told you, like I was always afraid to ask a little bit, because I wasn't sure what it entailed, and everybody's willing to help. I help you, you help me, and I'm definitely for that, because I love the support, the reciprocated support. I think it's very helpful to connect with individuals who have same type of the desire to just pursue it and to do it. And I think you should just get a little bit associated, or know a little bit about the blogger world, because there's so many who are so good at, sometimes like me, like I'm not a good writer. That's what I always tell all the bloggers. It's like, oh my God, you need to start blogging. And it's like, I wish. And they're like, no, but seriously, sometimes a blogger doesn't mean you have to write a book. You could just write 3 paragraphs, and then people will like what you're saying, and then it's like a rippling effect. And I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting, and I'm like, sure, maybe I will do that. And then I want to talk about them, check out their site, their cook, their recipes, their whatever. And it does, and it works. I'm like, oh, wow, this is awesome. Like, now they're checking you out, and I think that's good because I can't cook, so why not get recipes from you? Because people all of a sudden think I'm like this great chef. I'm really not, but I'm a good try. I'll try. I'll try any recipe. But social media is great. It's very powerful. I think people should definitely become part of social media as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, and I'm actually in the process here at Rays Latino Talk Podcast because there's so much interest in people in a similar position you were at about a few years ago that have great talents, abilities, but have, and are looking to convert their offline talents into online business success. And so I'm actually in the process of developing a webinar we're going to be introducing here very soon on the network around podcasting. For every 2,000 bloggers, there's only one podcaster. So it's still an area that Hipatia, and if you're interested in that conversation, I'd love to talk to you about it because you definitely have a great message and you definitely have a following that would be interested in hearing you sort of in this platform, I'm sure. Are you connected with the, and I want to give a shout out on this because I know it's overlaps with your social media network, but the Latino and specifically the Latina New Jersey business community, which I know you network with a lot, our friends like our friends at organizations like the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I was actually just with them. I know you know some of those folks. So I just
yeah. So I received an award this year from them. I got the businesswoman of the year.
Yeah. So
I love them. They've been a great help.
Yeah. Carlos Medina and Erica Horton and those folks and. Definitely want to give them a shout out. I was actually just at they had a reception in Atlantic City last week. So a lot of your friends were there and it was small world, but there's definitely some great networks. And I think in terms of kind of how I look at it from a sort of online perspective is, there really isn't anything, literally nothing you can't learn or start figuring out and engage of like-minded people with online. I mean, if you're on the shoreline of life, the oceans, the internet, and you just got to get in the boat, which is Google. I mean, literally, that's how I started this journey, podcasting and kind of figuring out the technical stuff. I'm not technically savvy. So that was a big, it took 3 months to figure out how to get on iTunes. But I'm there, and you kind of learn as you go. And like you said, so many lessons here about you're teaching us because if you sort of are okay with the fact it's not going to all happen tomorrow, and you understand that you could take one step at a time, and just enjoy the journey, and be satisfied with every step of the way. You're going to go so far. Hipatia Lopez and Empanada Fork. What's the next step for your business? Are you making other tools? Or are you obviously you're looking to distribute your product in a much bigger way? But what's the next step that we can be looking out for from the woman behind the Empanada Fork?
My next step probably would be, I do have another idea in my head that I'm thinking of pursuing, but I'm just trying to first see if I can get the distributors for Empanada Fork to be in supermarkets. And this, I have to do step by step. So if I get that, then eventually I could pursue the second because it's a lot of work. So I don't want to not devote the time to do, just do it because I have another idea. Since now I know kind of what it entails, so now I know how much work I have to put into it. So I would love to possibly come out with another product. And maybe in the future, a lot of people were telling me, and I do listen to feedback, that's why I have the YouTube demonstration videos, because people had just called me or, emailed me, oh, would you do a demo on YouTube, even if it's a 5-minute? I'm like, oh, sure. And I would just do it off the kitchen. Like I wouldn't, it is what it is. Like, and they would love it. Oh my God, looks like you're, like it's natural. I'm like, it is. I'm not really, I don't have a script. And I would giggle for everything because I was just like, oh my God, they think I'm, I don't know, maybe just already there. And I'm like, I'm not there yet. I'm trying to get there. I'm still in the steps and still trying to get it known. And, little by little, it's working. So, but yeah, YouTube, the videos, I think that helps. You get the good remarks and then you get the suggestions. and I take them down, and I always say, okay, I can't right now, but this is a great idea. That person gave me a great idea. I should come out with another one. For instance, they want it for the little empanadas, pastelitos, or even other ethnics have contacted me. They want it for pierogies. They want it for dumplings. And I'm like, holy moly, like, this is a great idea. But I know I have to take my time to do the little version because, I need to make sure I have the distribution to keep going, because it's not, as a company, you don't really see anything the first 2 years. Kind of just put it right back into inventory.
I hear you. And, wow, Hipatia, you're sitting on a gold mine, girl. God bless you. And I'll say this, that I definitely want to, you have our commitment here, Hipatia, Lopez, Empanada Fork, whatever the Rays podcast family can do. I'm already thinking about, there's the gentleman that runs the New York Federated Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is actually working out of New Jersey now, around the corner from where you're at. And I'm already thinking about connecting with him. Yeah, it's a long story, and we'll talk about it offline. But he's very connected with a lot of the. There's an association of Latino supermarket owners in New York. Anyway, we got to talk about this offline. I'd love to connect you with him. And he's actually having a Christmas party. Maybe you and your husband can stop by and network with those folks. But whatever I can do, I'm already thinking about, in Philadelphia, where I was born and raised, we have our biggest Colombian Latino restaurant, which is called Tierra Colombiana. Shout out to Tierra. Is actually owned by an Ecuadorian woman. So I'm wondering if I would imagine she'd be very interested in hearing about what you're doing. And like I said, it's a huge restaurant, so I'm sure they'd be interested in your product. But anyway, I want to help you out, and that's what this is all about, collaborating. And I want to thank you, Hipatia, because before we even knew each other, you were always giving Rays Podcast love on social media, and I really do appreciate that. I know you're someone that pays attention to what we do and appreciates it, and that really means a lot to me, but particularly for folks that didn't know me from Adam when I started doing this a year and a half ago. Hipatia, any other thoughts, words of advice to people that you'd like to share with our Rays Latino Talk podcast journey about how they can turn their dreams into reality?
My last word of advice would just be, if you can envision it, and if you want it that bad, then go for it. However, make steps. I know people, they do business plans, and let's start with baby steps. 1, 2, 3, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then do it. If you do that, then you're starting to follow through, because that's the one thing that I get, not upset, but I know people, 1 or 2 individuals had contacted me, like, I had that idea like 5 years ago, and I get upset. I don't know why. I'm like, you should have done it. Why didn't you do it? I'm like, oh, I didn't think I could, and that upset me. I'm like, why?
That's
why
right.
not? Why not you? I was like, I say that to me. I'm like, why me? I thank God I went through. But I'm like, and they're like, oh, you're right. And I'm like, no. I said, don't think that thing's impossible, because my children, one wants to be an athlete, he plays great in sports, and he's just like, oh, you have to have a follow-up plan. But no, I'm really not. I'm like, you have to do good grades, number 1, number 2. But if you want that badly, I will follow you. Like, you need to try to do it, because you never know. You just never know. So I just say, have an open mind, outside the box thinking, go for it. And I also wanted to thank you, Ray. Your stories, I actually enjoy reading and learning about other people of totally different success, being successful in other areas. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so great, because it gives so much hope to the little ones, and since, I keep saying I'm a mother of 3, but I just want them to know that anything is possible in America, and it's true. You want the American dream, work for it. It's not going to be handed to you, work for it. And they're like, okay, Mom.
That's absolutely right. And wow, there's so much to it, Hipatia, and I want to make sure as we wrap this up. First of all, I alluded to it a second ago, but make sure we give a shout out to our Ecuadorian American community here, one of our proud Ecuadorianas, and Ecuadorians don't get enough love out in the world, and we definitely want to give you guys a shout out. God, so much, have a lot of history.
I love my Ecuadorian people. I love them.
Absolutely. And
parents are from Quito.
That's right. And always have a better soccer team than you're giving credit for, and a lot of everybody. Anyway, just lots of friends from your community, and from the Bronx to North Jersey to Central Florida and all over the country. My assemblywoman down here, Gabriela Mosquera, is an Ecuatoriana, and you should definitely connect with her at some point. She does a great job down here in public service in my part of Jersey. And just Sahoyer Montalvo, who leads the Immigration Integration Office for the state of New York, who I was just with recently, is a Bronx Ecuadorian and a real rising star. One day he'll probably be the governor in New York. He's a real sharp young man and a good guy, and does a lot of good work for our community. Anyway, and as I shared with you offline, your husband is Dominican, so you're in a wonderful Dominican South American relationship. And two very dear friends of mine, Jorge Martinez and his wife Jennifer, they're a Dominican Peruvian couple who live right around the corner from you. I think probably literally very close to you, and hopefully at some point we can all connect. And just real good folks, great family people. And Jorge, of course, is the lead host and co-executive producer of LatinoSportsTalk.com, which is part of our network. So if your husband is into sports, Hipatia, one day we'll get him on the show. I'm sure he'd love to talk to
my son is actually the sports fanatic.
Oh, well, I'd be more than happy. Hey, you can call in whenever you like. I'll definitely make sure you know when we tape the shows. We encourage callers. And the last thing I wanted to share about Hipatia's journey, which I think resonates so much, is that, one of the two or three things I want people to get out of this journey, particularly Latinos, is we underestimate the value that we have and our culture has. Some of us sometimes are kind of trying to run away from it because we associate it with poverty or the struggle. But what we don't realize is even some of those, the advantages we have being from such a rich culture. I mean, you took a simple concept that is very Latino and you made it a business. And, I get so infuriated when I see things like Chipotle and Zumba and nail salons in our community. It's like so many people are making so much money off us, frankly. And, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm glad people are entrepreneurial. And like you said, it's like, well, you can't blame people for taking action that they didn't take, you didn't take. So, but at the same time, people don't realize how marketable. A buddy of mine was sharing the other day that he's like, they sell coconut water now. Remember, like, when we were growing up, coconut water was like something your grandma, your grandfather in the back did, cut a coconut. Like, he's like, now people make a lot of money with coconut water. So there's so much from a cultural perspective that we need to market better. And there's so many business opportunities out there. So Hipatia, I want you to make $100 million with your business. I think you just started with the distribution. I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking like, God, I'd love to work with her. I can help her make so much money with supermarkets around the country. Anyway, we need to talk about that. But you're well on your way. Hipatia Lopez from Empanada Fork. Let people know where they can find you online and in social media.
Sure. Online, it's www.Empanada Fork. It's EMPANADAFORK.com. Twitter, at Empanada Fork. And Facebook, it's at Empanada Fork Utensil. On my website, you'll see where the stores are, where they're selling right now, the utensil. And hopefully, I'm hoping next year I'll get them distributed in the supermarkets. That's like my goal. Every year I wanted a big store, but now I realize I want the supermarkets because that's the best thing would be to sell it with the frozen, other product that I think would go hand in hand.
Hipatia,
thank you, Ray. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Hey, no problem. Hipatia, you are well on your way. I'm so excited for your future. And all the great things that deserve it, blessings that are come to you, and we definitely want to keep in touch with you. I think I definitely have some ideas for people you can connect with in terms of distributing your products and services. I want to support you 1,000%. And as I share with you offline, I'm looking to do some more sort of live shows. We did one in LA over the summer with the sports guys out in LA, and we've got some thoughts about doing something in North Jersey with sort of our mutual friends in the blogger and Hispanic business community in North Jersey, and would love for you to be a co-host on that event and collaborate, continuing moving forward.
Okay, why not? Let's try.
Fantastic. Hipatia Lopez, Empanada Fork, thank you so much again for your support of our network and our vision, and we want to reciprocate that as much as we can. You've been listening to Hipatia Lopez, a real wonderful ray of light, one incredible personal story of sort of following her heart. And it's amazing when you follow your heart, the resources magically appear, it seems. And she's been I think her steps forward have been confirmed. She's doing the right thing, and we wish her continued success. You've been listening to Rays Latino Talk Podcast with your host, Rafael Ray Collazo, which you can find again at rayspodcast.com. as well as on iTunes and on the Android smartphone site, Google, please, Stitcher app, please download us on the Stitcher app, and reviews are very helpful. So if you like what you're hearing here, the kind of positive and informative conversations with wonderful Latino leaders and rays of light like Hipatia, feel free to rank and review us online and keep in touch with us in social media at Rays Podcast on Twitter. Hipatia, again, thanks so much, and everyone have a wonderful day.